Hey everyone, it's Ashley Jones, Event Director at Marketing Showcase. Thanks for watching one of our recordings from Marketing Showcase Online. I really hope you enjoy it, and hopefully I'll see you at another one soon.
So hi there, I'm Katie, as Ashley said, head of social media at Vooba. We're a full-scale digital marketing agency that do everything. Most of the questions that we normally get asked from clients is, how can you get me more leads? And then they spend money and want to know how many leads that they get, which normally makes things like Google AdWords a really good hot ticket item for what we do. However, content tends to be the unsung hero a lot of the time because it's a lot harder to put an ROI on, but it really is the great supporting act to help all of your marketing efforts generate not only leads, but make sure that you are generating the right type of leads for your business and make sure they're good quality as well, and then keep them as customers and maintain those relationships for as long as you possibly can. So I'm going to go through my presentation, share my screen. We work the social media department and we have a dedicated content department. We work really closely together because part of social media is generating leads through paid ads, but also building the relationships through organic content. And then the content girls work really hard to make sure that our clients are really well represented in the content department. So here we go, the benefits of content. So I want to go back to, first of all, why invest in quality content? This is a great quote. Content builds relationships. Relationships are built on trust, and trust drives revenue. There's a few famous people that have said quotes around this similar theme, but essentially the more you're bought into a brand, the more you trust them, the more likely you're going to spend not only money with them, but you're more going to be likely to spend more money with them. So what is content? Hopefully this isn't too an obvious question, but content includes all of the words that your business writes, whether they're on your website, your social media pages, email, newsletter, or anywhere else, even down to when you have email communications directly with your clients on a day-to-day basis. We're moving more into the chat world now, so whether that's WhatsApp, it's really important to always be mindful of how you're communicating with your clients to maintain you as a brand and the messages and the images that you want to portray. So that brings me on to this. Consistency is key. So your tone of voice and messaging within your content must be consistent in order to reinforce your desired branding. So tone of voice is things like choosing your tone of voice is really important because it's the same. Do you want to kind of have a professional tone of voice, a chatty tone of voice? You could be informal, you could be fun. So you need to kind of, whatever tone of voice it is, you need to identify it from the beginning, exactly the same way that you would identify your logo and your branding colors. I'd also identify your tone of voice because that needs to stay consistent all of the time. Otherwise, people will kind of be lost of where you're at as a brand. You wouldn't change up your colors that you're using with your brand one week to the next, would you? And the same goes with your tone of voice. However, there is an element of flexibility there. You might want to adapt the tone slightly based on the communication type. However, ultimately, you need to keep within certain boundaries. The consistency of your post should also be considered. So that's kind of work out what frequency works well for you as a business and for your audience. So whether we're talking about social media posts or blogs, identify what your goal is, what you want it to achieve, and then work out the frequency of what that should be, and stay with it. Whether it's going to be once a month, keep it at once a month rather than doing, say, 3 1 month and then nothing the next. Or if we're talking social media posts, if you're going to stick with 2 posts a week, stick with 2 posts a week. Don't do 5 and then 1, because it looks the consistency, again, it goes back to building trust with your audience. Content should be informative. People will get turned off if you're just constantly selling to them all of the time. This is about, remember, going back to what I've said, content is about building those relationships. It's a way for you to be able to showcase your knowledge. It's a way for you to be able to add value. So informative content educates your audience. It helps answer their questions. It offers value to the reader, meaning they're more likely to engage with your business. If you're just selling all the time, people are going to switch off. You kind of keep your sales between 10 to 20% of your content. Everything else should be about adding value, and showing what you got. Make your content shareable. It's one of the most effective content strategies is create compelling, engaging content that will grab people's attention and will get them to share with their networks, whether that's through blog posts, ebooks, social media posts, all of that way. It always helps. That is going to help you to build your audience going forward as well, rather than just talking to the same people each time. Make content that everybody wants to hear about and they want their networks to hear about too. Knowing your audience, to have a good understanding of who you are targeting, is absolutely essential. When you're looking at the way that you capture your audience. What we normally do with our clients when we take new clients on in our discovery call, we look at their customer base as a whole, and there's normally a few different pockets of different types of customers within their customer base. So what we do, we create typical customer avatars of them, and then we kind of really drill down into what that person looks like, what they do for a job, where they live, where they shop, what newspapers or books do they read, what music do they listen to, what sports are they into, that sort of thing. And you create these avatars for each of these pockets of customers. And then what it does, when we're creating content, it really helps to create really good, compelling content, because you're actually talking to a person rather than talking to a faceless audience. And it makes everything so much more direct and makes the reader feel it's a lot more personalized to them. And like I say, most businesses will have at least 2 or 3, possibly more, different avatars. So if anybody's got any questions, this is something I'm really passionate about. If anybody's got any questions on any of this, let me know. But on this matter in particular, I'd really love to talk to you about this. Creating valuable content. So I've sort of mentioned this a little bit before, but creating content as a genuine purpose and will offer value to the reader and make your business more memorable. So rather than just talking a bit of content that talk about different buzzwords, make sure you set out at the very beginning of what is the purpose of this content. What do you want it to achieve for the reader? What do you want it to achieve for your business? And by doing this, it will make your business a lot more memorable. And that's ultimately what you want. You want to be remembered for having decent content. You also, the content needs to be easily digestible as well. Different people have different reading styles. Some people will just literally read headlines and kind of make up the rest of the story. Some people will read your headline and then kind of your sub-headline or kind of the first paragraph, while others will read the whole article and read it in depth as well. But it's making the content, not just a page of words, making sure it's broken up well so you can engage with every type of reading style that you have. Because why would you ever want to have a shop doorway and keep it closed to one particular type of person? Make sure your copy is really well researched. If you're going to be quoting stats, figures, any sources of information, ensure that you say where your source has come from. It makes you look more credible that you've done your research. It also makes you look credible that you're using reliable sources as well, and everything like that. It means that that content will resonate more with that person because they know it's true and factual rather than just somebody's opinion. However, opinions are great as well. It's really good to get different people's opinions, because as a reader, you'll then start forming your own opinions. If you don't agree with what someone's saying, and so that's really good as well. But if you are going to be saying factual things, make sure that you say that it is, and that you really know what it is you're talking about. So I've sort of touched a little bit already on what the benefits are of good content, but it's great because it builds brand awareness, and you want as many of the right people to know about your brand as possible. And the more people that do know of your brand and continually see your brand in the right way, it helps to build trust with your brand. It then helps you to grow, gain a good following. So again, making sure you're seen in the right places, saying the right things at the right time. Gaining a following is great, but it's about gaining the right type of following, because you want the right type of people to be following you, sharing and engaging in your content, because they're more likely to then attract more of the same people that you want. You want to position yourself as industry experts. You know, that's what this is what it's all about. So all the lead generating stuff is brilliant, but it's nothing if you are not positioning yourself for the long term strategy. Content can also help your SEO. So who wants to rank higher on Google, I hear? So have you considered content as part of your SEO strategy? Content is really good, and it's a real art to get the right keywords into the right content in the right way, so it's still all the things that I've already discussed about being easily readable, digestible, make sure it makes sense, it's engaging, but also has the right level of keywords to help that page rank on Google as well. And also ultimately you want to be connected to your audience. So the more connected you are to your audience, the better those relationships will build for the long term. The more better relationships you have built long term, the more those customers will keep coming back to you, the more they'll spend, and the more likely they're going to recommend you to their peers. So it also improving your conversion rate and generating you better leads. So did you know, so effective content marketing, how do you go about doing it? So 64% of B2B marketers outsource their content writing. And that's something where we can step in to do that. There's many places you can outsource content writing to, because it is a skill within itself, and not one marketer can do all things. So absolutely get somebody to write your content if it's not the thing that you ultimately love. For me, I love talking. I'm not the best sit down and do the content writing, but I do really well at doing briefs and things like that with people. So it's fine, that's the best thing. Find the people that are strong to do these sorts of things, while leaves you the time to concentrate on the things that are really your strengths. 77% of internet users read blogs. Blogs are absolutely brilliant because they help pages rank well on Google naturally. But I bet if you think about a lot of the things that you have read online, a lot of the time you probably won't necessarily even know that they're blogs. I think blogs has got this stigma around it that it's as a diary. Somebody's writing a diary entry of their experiences, or what holidays they've visited, what restaurants they've eaten at. But blogs are answers to people's queries, and a huge amount of the search queries on Google are people asking questions, and blogs most of the time are the things that will answer those questions. And if written in the right way, Evergreen, which I'll touch on in a minute, they're not time sensitive, so they should hang around for a very long time. And a lot of the blogs that we do for clients, it's really nice to see over a period of time that that page will rank better and better, and it gets more and more visitors over the period of time. So blogs are really, really good, and they're a really cost efficient way as well of having a piece of content strategy that will last you long term and add value to your readers and help rank you well on search engines. So what kind of content should you be creating? So give you some examples: blogs, newsletters, website content, ebooks, social media content, email content, infographics, PDFs, brochures, and print articles, just to bring some of this to life for you. In social media, what we tend to do is, as an all-round, we'll have a client that we'll do regular content posting for, but then they'll also have blogs. So we will take that blog and we'll serialize that blog through different posts, so that blog gets promoted through social media posts. The client will also have normally a monthly newsletter go out. So you're communicating with people through social media channels, but you're also communicating people through their inboxes. We would then do something like an ebook, something that adds value, an ebook, an infographic, or a PDF on a how-to. in the old analog world of when we visited face to face, it might be like a brochure or a PDF, but we can do those, create those and do them as downloads. And they're always a really good lead magnet to do social media ads for. So, you know, here's your download our ebook on how to do this now, in exchange for your email address. We can then talk to you through your inbox as well. And you keep building relationships from kind of a 360 perspective, rather than just saying all your messages through a social post or just for a blog. So it gives a nice round picture there. This is the bit that I love most, looking at the whole picture. So and then the last thing is creating evergreen content. So what is evergreen content? It's how you can leverage it and how you can leverage your marketing strategy. It's simply content. It's not time sensitive. And like I said, for blogs will hang around for a really long time. So make them so they're always there to answer people's search queries. They'll always be shareable and will stand you in good stead for the long term. So to find out more, take a look at our free content guide for our marketing guide to find out more. Ashley's going to put a poll up and we're happy to send you any our content guide. I'd love for you to hear that. And if anybody would like a 30-minute consultation with me as well, please get in touch. I'm happy to offer some time for free. We can talk about how you can leverage content for your business. Thank you very much.
Katie, you're a star. That was awesome. Very, very good. Thank you for your time. Thank you for taking me through that. I enjoyed my antipasti whilst doing that, by the way, just in case anyone was wondering. There's been some really nice questions popped into the chat, and I'd encourage some more as we get on with the Q&A about content marketing. Hopefully, Katie, you've got 10 minutes just to stick around. As those are coming in, please open up the Q&A. Even if you're not going to ask a question, start upvoting the ones that are best, and we'll get those to the top, and it means that we'll answer those first. So let's kick things off. Susanna asks, if we choose to write the content, how long should it take to write a blog? And what's the best way to assess their impact?
Okay, first of all, the best way to assess the impact of a blog would be, a lot of the time you can have people comment and share on a blog, but ultimately is have it uploaded to your website and have that page tracked through your Google Analytics. That is the truest way to know, and you should see that over a period of time, how many people have visited the page, how they've got to the page, and how long they've spent on the page. In terms of how long should it take to write, so it depends on your passion, your skill level. Like I said earlier on, I'm great at, I'm happy to talk all day long, but then when I come to sit down and write a piece, it just for me it's really hard. But the girls we have in our content team and the guys that are having the social media team are absolutely brilliant. They take my direction and manage to come up with words really quickly. So I'm sorry, there's not really an answer to the question. I would say you wouldn't really want to any more than a day, I would say, but it kind of depends on how you value what
I think it also sits in with this next question that's come up. It's not the top asked question, but it's one beneath, and it's so relevant for this. It's a recommended frequency for blogs. They currently do one a month. Do you have a frequency guide, or is that then dictated again on kind of how long it takes?
Well, in an ideal world, and also it depends on the industry as well. How much, there's a lot more new stuff to say in some industries than others. But in an ideal world, generally speaking, we'd say to clients once every 2 weeks or twice a month would be ideal. That's your optimum, but once a month is minimum and kind of a nice place to be as well.
Brilliant. Okay, so moving on to our next question, Peter's asked, in the B2B world, we usually understand our audiences in reference to their business rather than their own personalities. People in the same job at different companies will be different ages, demographics, etc. How do you account for this when creating your personas and your avatars?
So it's just basically taking all of the different, looking at who you've currently got, looking at where you want to, you might have these types of customers that I'm working with at the moment. These are the types of people I'd like to work with. Yeah, and you've got their job titles. Then you say like they're different ages. So then you would then create them again for the different ages. So you might have people doing the same job roles in different avatars, but there'll be different ages. Their interests will be slightly different, and their family, like their life situations will be slightly different as well. So it's kind of really drilling down further than that to be able to, so you in that scenario, you could end up with 8 or 10, but it's still important to recognize that.
I think what I found, I'm not an expert, but this is what I've done, and it's really helped me. When you realize that you've only got a right for a really specific segment of people, okay, it might not represent your whole demographic, because yes, there'll be different ages in different job titles, but if you focus on the middle-aged female that is a marketing manager and just write for her, it becomes very liberating. You're able to start really honing in on good content for that person that sticks, rather than trying to think, oh, well, okay, I might have a female that's in that role, I might have a male, they might be this old, they might be that old. So my personal advice is you're better off focusing on one demographic, even if it doesn't represent the whole kind of spectrum. What do you think, Katie?
Yeah, 100%. And I think this is one of the reasons why I'm really passionate about it. So I say, where sitting down and writing the content isn't my probably isn't my strongest point, but this is when I do this and drill down on those personas, it's when it does become a lot easier for me. So I've
heard lots of people as well who do it by, they come up with their personas and avatars and then write content backwards by picking out their perfect customer, as in somebody that's a real life person. And it's a Steve, and I'm going to write for Steve every single time, and you want more Steves at the end of the day. So if that demographic fits, then you work backwards.
You can have breaks with the names.
On to the next one. Lynn says, and you spoke about tone of voice kind of towards the beginning of the presentation. I would have a different tone of voice for B2B versus B2C. But would like your opinion on it.
Yeah, that's fine. So again, it's a sort of sentence. You want to be kind of you'd also be mindful of the platform or the method of communication that you're using as well. So we have a lot of clients that would use a slightly different tone of voice, let's say when they're on LinkedIn to when they're on Facebook. And then obviously sort of going back to the different avatars, again, that you might adjust your tone of voice there as well. However, the kind of, you wouldn't want to completely go off the scale of the type of language that you use. You wouldn't on one platform be using sort of slang and street language, and then on LinkedIn be really sort of black and white and professional. There's, finding the balance somewhere, because otherwise you're going to you'd need to create two completely different brands if that was the case. So it's just being mindful, being able to adapt it loosely, but still keeping some level of consistency, so you're not completely going off brand for whichever way you're, whatever method you're doing.
We've got a team effort, 2 questions that have come in from Laura and Lindsay that are both very similar. They're talking about what's the best format of content? Is it text for a blog? When you're thinking about SEO and other considerations that you're actually using when you're writing your content, is text, video, podcasts? What format should we be using to build this content? Okay,
fine. So again, where are your audience? Who are you talking to? What content are they consuming the most? Are they mostly going to be YouTube users? If so, something like a vlog would, be a lot more powerful to them. Or is it, let's say it's B2B, it's somebody that would, be reading a blog while they're on their lunch break, or, skimming through news. So without knowing who your audience is, there isn't really a right or wrong. It just depends on who you're talking to, where they're hanging out. However, the best way to do it is to do all the different formats that you can and test, and then keep testing and then refining, making small changes, testing and refining.
Hi everyone, thanks for watching another recording from Marketing Showcase Online. I hope you enjoyed it. Just to let you know, we've got all of the recordings uploaded to our brand new YouTube channel, so go over there and check it out if you want some more great content. We run these events once every month, free of charge, so head over to our website to grab tickets for next month's event. I look forward to seeing you there.